Okay, going. Hold my hand. Okay. Any other grandchildren? The trail, and then walk around, and there's some really big. I have a friend.
Pretty cool spot, huh?
We should get us all and see if we could all fit.
Creator, thank you for this beautiful day and all the good things that you put into it. As you've already seen throughout this trail, there are all these impressions, pit homes, between 200 and possibly 400 families here at one time. We come from generations that have gone to residential school, 4 generations that weren't allowed to be on the land like we are today. So we're restoring those roles and restoring the balance.
Our people believed that everything had a spirit, even the mountains, the rocks. That's why, our culture has so much respect. It's a spiritual connection, that's what we say.
We as Secwepemc people, we still practice the traditional ways of our ancestors. We're also living in the contemporary. We can walk in both worlds. These are the bigger ones that go out. And they're good to pick in the fall for tea. The language describes every bit of what you're going to harvest. It can give a clue to the land and the times of year that you can do it. And then when I go out and harvest, I put down tobacco. And I'm giving an offering to the land. I'm saying thank you for my life. Thank you for keeping me warm. Thank you for feeding me. Each part of the land, looks after us. To get this one here together with balsam bark also takes care of your lungs. And as you've seen in my backyard, that black bear, that Gangagnum, I'll leave the rest of the berries out there now. That way, I'll be sharing with her. Chiam stem means respect. That's part of the laws. Chiam stem is to respect. And yuchmanuluch, to look after the land.
A lot of people don't think of time the way our people think of time. We have archaeological reports from the cache pits. They've from just over here on the other side of Williams Lake, salmon we've been harvesting for 4,000 years. My mom used to say, we're walking on our people's ashes. We've been here so long. We're part of this earth in every way. I feel as deeply rooted to this place like the Douglas fir trees. Their roots are as deep as they are tall. That's how I feel to this land.
Sugarcane, which is what Our community has existed actually since 1881, which was when the federal government created the reserve for our people by buying up 3 ranches out on the east end of Williams Lake. On the west end of Williams Lake in what is now the city of Williams Lake, they had preempted all the lands that our people lived on for thousands of years before.
We were the original people of this territory. I think archaeology says for 10,000 years plus, we had territory that was boundaries that were recognized and respected by each nation.
The settlers, the biggest impact that they had was the diseases that they brought. The other biggest impact was the residential schools. I am a survivor of the residential school. I attended there for 6 years, and it totally destroyed me in that I can't even speak my language. Try to imagine the things that mean the most to you. Your reason for living is taken away from you, and if you fight it, the police will come and take you away. I spoke to people that were my age that said, I lived only 12 miles away from a residential school, and I never knew that there was a place like that. People didn't talk about it in town. It was a hidden thing.
You know, a lot of our people don't even have the basic understanding of the language. But I think we need to really bring that back. How we did things, you know.
I don't see the line at all.
And a good example of that is hunting. You learn species of trees. Also, you learn the behavior of animals. You also learn the habitat.
We're just on the mountain above the community behind Williams Lake First Nation. The importance is mostly just for food sustenance. Elders as well, they usually reach out to the guys that hunt in the community and ask for meat, whether it just be for dry meat or meat for the winter, roasts and steaks and stuff.
I experienced this when I was a child. Some of the young men from the community would come. They'd show up and they'd have a moose or a deer. You know, they were taking care of us. That was their responsibility. It's just recognizing that we are Secwepemc from the that we are from the Williams Lake First Nation, and that we have to look after one another. That gives me a lot of hope and pride when I see that.
I feel it's very important for us to be doing what our ancestors could not. If we're not doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for them to return their spirit. We're also doing it for the ones that come after us, for our grandchildren or great-grandchildren. It's so important to go out on the land, like, for example, to harvest our medicines, to harvest our foods. When we go out and harvest, where we harvest, what we do when we're harvesting, and whoever is with us, it's also that traditional environmental knowledge that is tied into that whole process. When you're looking at salmon, it's not just our food, it's our ceremony of going down there. It symbolizes the time as family, somebody's expertise. It's another ceremony once the salmon is brought to wherever people are going to process it. Whether it's cutting it up to smoke and to hang, or whether it is putting it into jars to can. There's all of that sense of community of whoever is working on harvesting and the transmission of culture with that.
Our culture, our traditions are living traditions over hundreds and thousands of years. We're evolving with our times. We try something new, and if it works, we keep doing it and it becomes part of our tradition. But we can still maintain our identities. The missionaries and the religious people that came and tried to wipe us out, it didn't work. We're still here.
Historically, we weren't even allowed to leave our reserve. We weren't even allowed to get out onto the river and be able to fish and provide for our families, be able to experience our ceremonies and our traditions, and give back to the Creator in a way that brings balance to our everyday life. How do we find that balance as a community? Understanding the economics, but it's also holding up our culture and our tradition. We create these revenue streams, we create these opportunities, and then what we're able to do is we're able to fund some really cool things in our community. Like a cultural worker, like language speakers.
That's a bluebird egg. There's a nest up there. Is there? Yeah.
Make sure that you only have good energy around your drum. If you're feeling sad, it's good to pick up your drum and sing, because that song is going to help you let go and remember how gifted you are.
As long as the Williams Lake First Nation, they always keep an open mind when we're listening to our elders, when we're listening to our knowledge keepers about the land. If it fits our ethics, then we can take some of those resources and use it so that we can pass on our traditional knowledge.
To protect, be good stewards of the land, it means that everything in our territory should be respected. Not like today, everybody wants to take their share and then leave. They look at one project without considering what kind of damage each project's going to do to the whole.
Learn about the values that we hold sacred and respect them.
We need to be able to approach things with a cultural lens while looking forward into the future. That's always a tough one. We look at being culturally centered when dealing with cannabis, when dealing with mining companies. But you take those teachings from the elders and you hold them up in a way that you honor them when you're structuring these deals. We want to be able to, have more fluent language speakers in our community, more educational success stories.
We've been born into hardship, and so to be able to laugh and to visit and to create friendships, that's who we are as a people. We're taught to look after everybody and everything. We're taught that nobody gets left behind. That's what community is. And that's who we are as Secwepemc people.
لأن بوكسمان my heart is glad. We're getting out of it.